Falls. I first started with Para in probably about 2003 or 2004 as a member of the Facilities Committee. And over time, I think about 4 or 5 years later, it was shortly after that Gary came and was promoted to be executive director that I came on the board. In fact, I was on the board when the search committee gave me the call that said, hey, we picked Logan.Minor. And I really honestly didn't know Gary that well at that point because I was relatively new to sitting in on the board. But I'm telling you, that was one more excellent selection that the search committee did in placing Gary in the job as executive director.
So I met Gary just informally. I would see Gary out through Park and Rec at Para, through the basketball games and the football games at the football field. I officiated for Para years before I actually came to work under Gary's leadership. So I really enjoyed it, and I met Gary, like I said, informally. We would chit chat when I see him. Always had a good sense of humor, always knew what was going on with all the athletics and sports, because at the time, you know, Gary was over athletics. He was the sports supervisor, sports commissioner over athletics for Para. And so I was working at the city of Tuscaloosa for over 10 years and bureaucrat in training and knew all things about government, elected official in Northport. And Gary had an opportunity for me, man, that just one of the best ones, I think, for me in terms of being a young professional. And I came over at Para in 2015 under community outreach and some other things. And Gary just was one of those guys that he knew how to allow a professional to grow into their realm or their wheelhouse, so to speak. So,
my name is Peggy Hogue, and I am a member of the Para Board of Directors. I've been on the board for about 20 years, and I met Gary right when he came to work for Para. I think it was about 2004, and really got to know him well when he took over as executive director in 2011. I happened to be the chairman of the search committee. We interviewed several candidates for the position, and it was a unanimous decision that Gary become our next executive director in 2011. It has been a privilege for me to get to know him and to work with him as a board member. Also as chairman. He had to put up with me for about 3 years in a row. I can't even remember, but don't remember the dates, but was chairman for 3 years, and then have come back this past year as chairman again. And we have really worked well together. I've enjoyed every minute of getting to know him and working with him as executive director of Para. Gary has done a tremendous job as our leader. He leaves a great legacy. I wouldn't even start to list his accomplishments.
You know, I met Logan.Minor some years ago, and I was trying to remember when exactly. I guess my appointment on the Para board when we really started a working relationship. I met him prior to that, but I really didn't have an opportunity to get to know him. But once I was appointed to the Para board, we really developed a very good working relationship. And I think one of the things that helped me and made a difference was by my first assignment. They assigned me to work with the facility committee. And at that particular time, we were dealing with these renovations here at the McDonough-Hughes Center.
he was really smart in terms of big ideas, which I really appreciated. One of these is the building we're sitting in now, the McDonough-Hughes Center, and this renovation. So you see the gym stuff, man, years ago it did not look like this, I can tell you.
Gary, immediately after getting promoted to executive director, the tornado came through, and Para became responsible for housing a lot of the victims from the tornado.
Like I said, McDonald Hugh Center is a great project. I've seen it work on the storm shelter over here, what was at the time one of the largest ones in the state of Alabama.
And Gary just really stepped in there, even went out of town and brought in another architect to get the job done. So we were really fortunate to see the transformation of the McDonald Hughes Center, the storm shelter that had been built by the community, and I think the first time that was in use, over 500 people came out.
Tuscaloosa moving closer to finishing what they're describing as the biggest public tornado shelter in all of West Alabama. Kelvin Reynolds got a look inside and is live from T-Town with what he found. Kelvin.
Amongst all of that, he also inherited finishing up construction on Fawcett Brothers Activity Center. And I can't express enough about what was done up here to make this place into something that is truly special in Tuscaloosa County.
But Gary had some really good ideas, not only here, but at the Fawcett Brothers Center. I saw him kind of work that whole entire project from start to finish. Then when he became director, that let me knew then he knew exactly what he knew what was going on in terms of parks and recs in the county. Very big idea guy. That's what I liked about Gary. He's a big idea, but he knew his professionals. He allowed me to grow. Case in point. So, you know, I always asked Gary when I first got hired on, I said, Gary, I'm gonna mess up. You know, I'm not gonna do everything perfect, but can I come back tomorrow? He'll know what I'm talking about. Gary would say, yeah, just come back tomorrow. Because I didn't know the dynamic of Para, but everybody in the organization really supported what Gary was doing because he was well respected in the community and also around the state. You know, we would be in meetings around the state and people would ask Gary specific ideas about their Parks and Recs organization. And I mean, I'm talking the Huntsvilles, I'm talking the Mobiles, I'm talking the Vestavias, all these larger cities. So they would lean on Gary. So that lets me further know that, you know, he was the GOAT in terms of how well he interacted with other professionals and bringing those big ideas to not only the community in the county of Tuscaloosa, but outside around the state. So again, man, he was one of those bosses where he allowed me as a professional to grow into a division manager, director. And so he hired me on in 2015. Man, I just couldn't be more appreciative for him doing that and allowed me to kind of grow and understand Para, the holistic part of Para. Everybody thinks Para is just sports, but it's arts, it's parks, it's recreation, it's playgrounds, it's programming, it's people, it's partnerships. And so Gary was really big on, if we can partner and it makes sense, go do it. And he would bring everybody in on the table and say, look, everybody get your ideas. They may seem crazy at the time, but he'll mix them up in a bowl and put it back out, and it'll be a really, really good, big idea.
And Gary has continually always had a great vision for Para, the transformative things that he wants to see done. Always been limited by the budget that we had, but you know, Gary has did a wonderful job in the testament. You know, when you look back over the things that he's done, you know, even prior to me, the Bobby Miller Center, you know, for the work that was done there, the Fawcett Brothers Center, you know, all those great facilities and things that was done and that the people love and that meet the needs of the people. He's really done a great job, and you know, and I'm just so fortunate to know him as a friend. And then I also just think about the leadership he has showed on the state level with the park board, the management, how Tuscaloosa Para is always coming in with some type of award each time they have a meeting. You know, we facility of the year, organization of the year, members that's getting recognition for the work that we do. And, you know, and that's just a testament to great leadership. You know, I always was taught, you know, from my Army ROTC days, so leadership is not an art, but the ability to gain the confidence of your people by providing for their well-being. And I can certainly say without a shadow of a doubt, Gary has provided the type of leadership that's provided for the well-being, not only the employees, but the citizens of Tuscaloosa County. Gary goes and he really gets it and understands that Para was placed there to provide recreation opportunity for every citizen of Tuscaloosa County, not just north of the river, not south of town, but for every person that lived in Tuscaloosa County. And he's always carried that mission out well, and I'm so proud to call him friend.
One program, I'll say that, was a Juneteenth. That was big when that holiday came around in our community. Gary was one of the first ones, if not the only one in the community at the time, to help promote and partner and help support that huge Juneteenth event in Palmore Park, which was huge. I mean, he basically said, hey, let's make sure that this is one that's positive, get a lot of people there, and of course, Perry got the credit, and man, I really appreciate him not trying to hinder that process. He was all for it and all 100% behind it, so I appreciate him doing that.
He has been a good friend to many. I can't think of anybody in our organization who knows more about Park and Rec, just in general, as Gary does, and certainly about Park and Rec in Tuscaloosa County. I can't think of anybody who is more deserving of retirement and to be able to do the things that he loves. And I know he loves canoeing and fishing and camping. And so I just want to congratulate Gary on his retirement.
Logan.Minor, I want to tell you what a great guy you've been to the county and the area around the county and the state of Alabama. You were head of the PARA program for 12 years, and you were in PARA for 18 years. And you've also been selected as the state PARA director for the state of Alabama, and I thought that was a great honor.
Thank you, Gary. We love you, and we're really going to miss you sitting up there doing that on a day-to-day basis. Call on me, and let's do something new, but we're ready to go do it.
Gary, we're going to miss you, but look forward to working with you maybe in other ways in the days and months and years ahead. Thank you for all that you've done for Para. I'm about to cry.
You've just been a real asset. You're a great man. Got a great family. You've got Logan, Spencer, Gretchen. You've got Natalie. You've got you, and y'all have just done a great job. And you're a wonderful person. I want to tell you how proud I am that you came and took over the leadership of PARA, because you've expanded it unknown numbers of ways, and you've helped people of Tuscaloosa and their surrounding areas have longer lives and better health because of what you've done for the county of Tuscaloosa.
Gary, I want to say thank you, man. I appreciate it. Enjoy the retirement, enjoy your family, and look back at the legacy you put forth for the community. And man, whoever comes behind you, they got some dang big shoes to fill. And come on!
Gary, you see, I was really being dressed up for this, right? I was trying to set the tone here of what is this, like bikes, outdoor gear, and beer, okay? I want you to take this, your job is not your life. Your life is not your job. But for all these years that you've been executive director, it's sort of had to be that. It doesn't have to be that anymore. I know you're not going to completely retire, but I want you to enjoy the time here as you step down from executive director. And I want you to know how much all of us that have had the privilege of working with you, how much we have enjoyed working with you. And me personally, I'm going to be really upset if I don't get to go canoeing and mountain biking with you and all other kind of things. So don't forget me. Adios, amigo.